Hello, world history students. This is Mr. Everton, and this is a video about the causes of World War I. We talked in class about how this was a really terrible conflict where millions of people were killed and for not a whole lot of reason. So this video is going to explain how the countries of Europe got to a place where they allowed that to happen. Why did they have this big war when it wasn't really in anybody's interest to do that? Now, what you see here on screen is an illustration of one of the things that people talk about when they talk about this, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, who was the second in charge in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And a lot of times people talk about this as being one of the causes, but I would say that this is like the trigger, right? This is like the spark or the match that lights the fuse. But to really understand what caused World War I, you need to understand a lot more stuff. So we're going to talk about it here. Oh, it's one of those things where I did the last video. Yeah, here we go. All right, so nationalism is one cause of World War I. You have these countries. Nationalism, remember, started in the 19th century. We talked about that in Unit 6. And nationalism is like an intense identification with your country and feeling like the people who are like you should have a government that controls the place where you live, right? And it causes people to feel like intense pride in their country and want to do things to try to help their country and make their country stronger. Now, one of the things that nationalism did was it helped create a new country called Germany. Germany hadn't existed, right? And we talked about how it formed in 1871, and it upset the balance of power. They had this delicately preserved balance of power where no country was more powerful than any other, where Germany and where England and France and Russia were all the same. And then Germany formed, and everybody was like, oh no, it seems like Germany is now the most powerful country. So that's one thing. Another thing is that nationalism started weakening empires, like the Ottoman Empire, like Austria-Hungary. These empires control many different groups of people, and a lot of those people start wanting to have their own country because they're feeling nationalistic, they're feeling nationalism, and so they start to want to have their own place that represents them. So that's going to create instability as well. Okay, that's nationalism. Now, militarism is the idea that you think that having a strong military is important for your country. And so, as I just talked about, Britain and France were really afraid of Germany, and so they started stockpiling weapons. And so then when Germany saw that Britain and France were stockpiling weapons, it was like, well, I'd be crazy not to stockpile my own weapons. And so you get into this place where you have an arms race where all the different countries of Europe are all afraid of each other, and they start building up these massive armies. Britain starts building these like huge battleships called dreadnoughts. Germany starts creating attack submarines that they can use against the British Navy. And, you know, the thing about having a big military is once you have it, there's a tendency to want to use it. All right, our next cause, imperialism. Now, we talked a lot about imperialism in Unit 8. And by 1900, most of Africa and Asia had been colonized or carved up into spheres of influence by European countries. There weren't really any new places to go if you wanted to have colonies and you were a European power. The only way that you could really get some new colonies would be to fight a war against another European country and take their colonies away. And so places like Germany, who don't have many colonies, start thinking like, well, maybe I could just win a quick war against France or Great Britain, and then I would be able to take away some of their colonies. So that's another cause of World War I, is the fact that European countries want more colonies, there are no new places, and so they're tempted to fight each other in order to try to win colonies from another European country. And then a final reason is alliances. And alliances, I forgot to write something on the slide, but you can just listen to me talk and it'll be okay. Sorry about the bootleg video. These different countries all start to team up and they all start to create deals with each other, where like Britain and France are like, okay, Germany is scary. And so they make a deal with each other that they will protect each other. If somebody fights France, then Britain will help. And then they add Russia to that, and they call that the Triple Entente, is the official name they give to that alliance. Meanwhile, Germany and Austria-Hungary, they both have a lot of German people who live there, and they're like, you know what, we're going to form an alliance as German people. And then they add Italy to that, and then they add the Ottoman Empire to that. Russia has an allegiance to Serbia and wants to protect Serbia because they're both countries that have a similar ethnic group called Slavs. And so we get to this place where if one country fights another country, all the other countries are going to come in together and fight each other. If one conflict happens, it's going to set off this chain reaction where all the countries will be forced to fight each other. So when Franz Ferdinand gets shot, it sets off this chain reaction because the guy who shot him was Serbian, makes the Austro-Hungarian Empire mad, and so they are wanting to declare war on Serbia. Russia comes in and says, we have an alliance with them. They declare war on Austria-Hungary, and the whole thing starts a big bloody mess that would last for 4 years and not really do anybody any good. You should be able to answer your AIM question now, I hope. Yeah, thanks for watching.